Okay guys, so I'm going to show you fairly quickly how to do a re-edit of songs. I'm using my own track so I don't get hit with a copyright issue. I'm just trying to see here. I took down some notes and now I can't find them, so that's super awesome. But basically you can do a re-edit for a number of reasons. You can do it live and on the fly, if you will, with your DJ gear. So one thing I like to do is when I'm starting off on my first song at a gig, um, and especially if you're still kind of warming up to the booth, if you're getting yourself together, you're plugging your headphones in, maybe you're waiting for the other DJ to kind of get out of your way. I like to at least have my finger on the hot cues and go ahead and in the moment trigger a few places in your track that you can backtrack to. This is because while you're getting settled in, you're costing yourself time, and possibly if the other DJ is having an issue or something, they are costing you time as well. So you don't want to have a 4-minute track and then have 3 minutes of it go by where you did not have a chance to settle into the DJ booth and then realize that you have to hurry up, pick another track. And especially if your set is not planned, you're scrambling to pick another track, get it in, and even if you're using a sync button, it can just be a little bit crazy. So this way you can at least kind of do a re-edit on the fly, hit your hot cue, and go back to the first drop or the first break or something, and basically buy yourself an extra 2 minutes or something like that. But re-edits are cool. Because when you're playing live, number one, you can revamp a track that everybody's heard a million times into something that they hadn't previously heard. You can elongate it. Let's say you need to run to the restroom or something. This is a great thing to keep in mind. You could take a heavy favorite that you know people will not mind hearing more of, and if you re-edit it to add an extra minute or two, you can run to the restroom and not have an issue. So quick story on that, when I was DJing in Olympia, Washington at a place called Jake's, um, in order to run to the restroom, my shifts were like, I think 6 or 7 hours long. And, I'd usually be drinking something or other there, so I'd have to pee. And, and by something or other, I mean, actually at that time, non-alcoholic before my shift. They were very strict about that there. So, but nevertheless, I'd have to pee at some point in 7 hours. And so the way that this was set up was the DJ booth was next to the bar. I'd have to run behind the bar or through the bar and then up a flight of steps, and then the toilet was basically above the DJ booth. The thing is, if you're slammed and busy on a Saturday night, first of all, it's a long distance. Secondly, you have to consider the bartenders. You may have to wait valuable seconds, which sometimes in a song is all you have, because they're making drinks, they're trying to wait on customers, they're dealing with drunk customers who are delaying them to get out of your way so that you can get up there. So when you have a song that's long enough and you have confidence, you can get up the steps and do your business and have the confidence to get back into the DJ booth with enough time. So just a couple different reasons to consider it. It could be a bathroom break, it could be buying yourself time, it could be revamping a song that people have heard a million times, but if you revamp it, they haven't heard your version of it. And just for the fun of it, you can layer vocals on top of a re-edit, you can mash together two songs, and then at that point it's basically a mashup. And you can even use this to make a bootleg. So I think first things first, it looks like this is warped to 120, which I don't think this track was at. I think it was at 128. It looks like my settings are messed up, but I'm not going to bother getting rid of it, adjusting my settings, and importing it back in. We'll just do it like that. And watch your ears here for a minute. We're going to start to label the track. Okay. So right there you can hear basically that's where the intro ends. So I'd label that. Oops. You could probably make this the build.
Yeah. Well, ladies now, I want
Okay, so this is great. It was at 128. This is the drop, obviously. And this is kind of a continued drop here. Drop CONT for drop continued. Or actually, let's relabel that because it's not the drop continued. I don't want to call it drop number 2, but drop, let's call it stutter, because that's what I did there, is I stuttered the one part of the drop. It's an old funky house technique. I kind of just kept that same riff going. And this will label drop because it's back to what's over here. So right there, we'll call that the break. And all I'm doing, by the way, guys, is just right-click, add locator. And then when you go to add a locator, it's automatically ready to type what you want. So let's hear what this is. Okay, that could be super useful for the re-edit here.
Yeah.
Build again.
lively now. All the part nice of the area. See it? Hey!
Drop 2. Stutter.
Yeah. Well, ladies now, I want everybody for this get lively now. All the party people in the place, let's get up and rock and shock. Oh, because someone kill a day tonight. Nice of the area. See it? Hey!
Okay, so now that we have all of these parts labeled, you can do a number of things here, and it really is kind of up to you. The only thing I'll say is watch your math on this, and all I mean by that is you could see that with every changing color of like dark gray, light gray, dark gray, light gray, right now I have it set up for 4 bars. I would be very careful about going too small, and what I mean by that is I would keep it even, not odd, because that's, you know, obviously what a lot of music is based around is 8 bars, 4 bars, to a lesser degree 2 bars, and certainly with when you get into 1 bars and half bars and stuff, you can really get you can make a mess quickly. So basically what I'm saying here is I wouldn't edit out like 1 bar. I wouldn't take away a 1 bar. If you're going to take away 1 bar, take away 2 to 4 bars, because then you're going to get messed up with your timing, and then when you go to export this and you go to play it in a DJ mix, you're going to have odd numbered phrases, if you will. You could potentially have that, and then your mixing is going to be off unless you really make a note of it and really remember that, which can be a super big headache. So basically, even if your beats are synced up, your phrasing will not be. And for those of you who are not familiar with DJing, phrasing is basically you want to a phrase is basically 32 beats or 8 bars. So if you count to 4 8 times, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 halfway through, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, that's basically the same as counting to 32, and that's what they call 8 bars. So another way of doing that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, halfway through, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and then that last bar, 29, 30, 31, 32. So you're counting in fours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and so on. Those are bars. But 8 bars, counting from 1 to 4, 8 times, makes up a phrase. So when you mess with phrasing, even if your beats are synced up, which, by the way, I explain all of this more in the DJ course, but if your phrases are messed up, even if you're beat matched, even if your beats are lined up, your phrasing will be messed up. And that's when you'll see like songs don't end perfectly where other ones begin. It's not the end of the world, it's not the biggest of deals, but if you're looking for a tight DJ set, you can really mess yourself up by getting off of your math, especially by doing odd numbered things when you're doing stuff like this. So to get back into it here, guys, at this point, because everything is labeled, it's your choice on what you want to do. What parts, if you were dancing, would you want to hear more of? Would you want to hear less of? It's up to you. I might look at this second break here. Now, to touch on that, I did that to give the DJ, which is usually, at least at this stage, going to be mostly me for this song, space to mix out there. I would have been mixing in somewhere, yeah, we're on 8 bars here, so somewhere probably around here, and my other track would be coming in as this track is dropping out. If I decide against that, I at least have something else in the track to build me back up. Right here with the piano. That's also a really great area to mix on top of if you have the right kind of stuff. Perhaps a tribal beat on top of that would be great. But I'm just trying to think of what I would do with this for a re-edit. I don't know. I mean, I suppose I could. We'll do Control E. And I don't know, guys. I really don't have much of a vision for this. I just wanted to show you how to re-edit without getting a copyright strike on me. I might consider taking that out, moving all of this over, perhaps. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, can you do a Control cut and that would move it? No, I thought it would, but I guess not. That's okay, so we'll drop it down so we always at least still have it, and then we'll move this over. So that's a good one right there. That's a good example of an improvement of the track potentially for energy purposes. So it goes from fading out back into the build right then and there. We might consider even, I really don't know if this is going to work, but taking the breakout and moving this drop over, and let's listen to that. So that's another good one that worked right there. So we had the drop going, and then we go right into a build-up, so it really keeps the energy driving hard. Let's take a listen. See, now here's the thing too to consider, and it just depends on the track that you're doing this with, guys. This doesn't have to be as intricate as production. The tricky thing about this track that I picked was that there is a vocal over the build-up. When there's not a vocal over the build-up, in my opinion, it becomes a lot easier to manipulate the track, because this build-up sort of has to stay intact. Because the second I start mangling that build-up, I mess with that vocal. and then it stops making sense what he's saying and why and all of that. So a good example of that could be like getting rid of that part there and bringing this over. Now listen, it won't make as much sense. So whatever he's saying there, it sounds like and shock, get up and rock, and shock. We miss the whole get up and rock part. Or like even this is a good example. If I brought this over, just trying to fix the problem by taking more away. So we might go like that. I don't know if that'll work. It probably won't. Okay, so that did work right there because of that horn that goes off there. But at that point, that's basically an extension of the drop right here. You could probably just copy and paste that over if you didn't get into the mess that I got into here. It's all trial and error, guys, because every track is different. So unlike production, where I can kind of teach you the basic principles and give you a strong foundation and then show you how to not get pulled into marketing, people convincing you that you need their products to be a great producer. This really is more about using your ears and your preference. Anything can be extended, anything can be cut out. It just depends on what you're looking to achieve. Obviously, if you're looking to achieve energy on the dance floor, I would probably, where was it? I'd probably go for this. Yeah, I'd probably go for this because it's a build-up that keeps the energy high, but the kick drum is out of it. So it's not quite a break, but it doesn't just keep the kick drum slamming you for 20 minutes. So listen. So that might be a nice re-edit for the dance floor, as opposed to basically the radio edit Spotify version, if you will, that had all of this in it. A lot of dip in the energy here. A lot of piano. And then the build up. So things to consider there. Now, if you were a DJ that somehow got a hold of this track and wanted some drums for the beginning, for the intro, what you might do is now you can break it down into possibly to steal drums to make an intro. You might need to break it down into 1/4. Yeah. Well, ladies, now I want everybody to just get lively now. Probably what I would do. I mean, you could go into the drop here. You could take the drop and basically steal a real quick beat out of here. So I'd probably go for this one because it's the same as the beginning of the drop, but it doesn't have that horn. So that horn's not going to keep repeating. So I would take this, you could loop, whoop, I just lost my place there, didn't I? Take this and loop it. As opposed to the same exact thing but with the horn, which obviously is not going to be ideal for mixing. Now that might be something cool to build up from this one over here into that and then into the Rasta sample. But you might take something like that and do, let's see. Yeah. So I might experiment with taking this out which by the way, I'm just clicking on the line right there, and then I'm hitting Control E. Control E automatically cuts the section. So I'm going to take the piano out. Okay, let me go back to the drop here. I'm going to listen. Right there. I'm going to take this quarter note. I'm going to bring this over, all the way over. I guess I could have copied it and then just rushed over here and pasted it too. In fact, we can just zoom out. Bring that all the way over. Now, if you want to, you could take this, duplicate, which is Control D, Shift click, duplicate, just so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just leaving my mouse on the first one. Shift click so that they all get highlighted, duplicate, hold down Shift and click so all of them get highlighted, duplicate, and you can see this is a mass way of duplicating quickly. Okay, let's listen. Okay, not bad. What I might do here, get rid of the last 4, and let's just see where that little transitional effect comes in. Yeah, right about there. Let's see if it goes from here. Let's see this. So it's not going to be the cleanest, guys, remember, because this is a re-edit. Okay, we don't have the full session, and this is probably someone else's tune in the real world. So you do what you can with it, and I'll show you how to tighten it up, don't worry. I'm just trying to think if I want to keep that or not. You could, because keep in mind, this is just the DJ intro. People on the dance floor are not really going to hear this. This is more so for you to stay on time and give your computer something to go off of grid-wise. It's just with the piano and stuff, it just sounds too insane. So I think we're going to keep it out. I mean, either way, it's a little bit sloppy. But I think we're going to do it like this. And what we'll do is, let's go ahead and extend that back over so we don't have a gap. And what we'll do is Shift click and then Control J, which will consolidate that again. That way we don't have a gap right there and it's not 2 different files that can be dragged around. Okay, we're going to go into Audio Effects and we will grab, usually, an auto filter. Now, what you could do is basically filter out the highs as this thing creeps up. Obviously, over a much longer period of time. Here's the only thing that I worry about with that. If you're not syncing your beats with whatever program you use, Serato, Rekordbox, Traktor, Scratch, whatever, it may not sound like much on your laptop speakers or even your headphones. And I'm sure some of you know what I'm about to say. When you low pass, how can I explain it? The massiveness of basic bass, the nature of bass, if you will, when it's super low, it can be very misleading in a live situation. And what I mean by that is very hard to beat match. I think a lot of times our ears track the higher end of bass to beat match, because the low end, to put it disrespectfully, is very flubby and muddy and I don't want to say reverby, but it's wild. The sub-region is wild and it's hard for our ears to beat match those. So what I mean is it's going to be hard to beat match with this. It may sound clear to you now, but wait till you get into a live setting where you're trying to hear that over the live bass of the current track that's playing on the house system to the crowd. It's going to be a mess. It's way easier to track a high pass that sounds like this. And did you hear that little thump that came in? Listen, I'll take it away. It's already even there, it's just super high pitched. Listen for the thump. Basically, that thump is the beginning of the bass, but all the sub is out. That thump is what gives you the information needed to beat match. Now, if you're syncing your beats, you probably won't even have a problem with that anyways, because it's not your ear that you need to depend on, it's the computer, and it will likely get you going. Plus, you'll know what BPM it's at, plus you'll know the BPM of your other one, so you should be okay for the most part. I just wanted to throw that out there, that if you low pass your intro, you might have issues if you're kind of doing it old school and trying to track by ear. Sub-frequencies in a live setting with a loud sound system and your headphones, it can get very disorienting very quickly. So anyways, if we hit A, we should be able to, on our auto filter, drop down and find the word frequency, and essentially make a little dot there, make a little dot here and raise it up, and we should basically get the automation needed to have a drum intro. So there you go, guys, and you could see that I deleted the last one just to give a silent. That's a DJ tool. You can give that to your DJ or to yourself as a way to catch people off guard, grab their attention, because it goes from obviously sound to no sound, then into a Rasta sample. Also, that bit of silence, I don't know if your ears are tracking this, but that bit of silence here really helps out the crash cymbal, the downward effects coming into this break, and the vocal. It aids it, it helps it, it's great. It provides dynamic. What I mean by that is it goes from a strong kick drum to nothing, so that's dynamic right there, loud to silent basically, and then that silence into a cymbal crash. So good dynamic there. That's about the best you can do if you're making a re-edit. Now, keep in mind, guys, you could dig into all the information here and make this intro a lot more interesting. I'm just trying to see what we could do. So you could do something like that. So if you didn't want to do the filter quite yet, you could, yeah, I guess we'll keep it on 1/4. I have no clue if this is going to work or not. We're going to try it and see. So maybe what we could do is 1, 2. Let's loop that, Control L, and hear it. Move it over one. I don't know if it's gonna work, but you'll get the idea from it. Copy. just make sure this is going to work. No, that did not work. Okay, so we'll just take it. Control drag it over. And you can just do little things to pepper it in to make it interesting. The actual sound you're about to hear may not be the best example, but you'll understand the effect I'm trying to achieve. You'll have to go through the entire song and find the little nuggets of gold to do this with. Something like that. Not the best example, but basically just a way to break up the monotony. Maybe every 2 bars, every 4 bars, every 8 bars, something of that nature. You have a different sample of the song in there to break up the monotony. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, whoa. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, whoa. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just a mini break. It's a little rest from the monotony of what we've got going on here. You could do this with just about any one beat, or actually, thinking of that, you might even zoom out, get the first one of this drop. This would be a much better example now that I'm kind of thinking while talking here about this. You can bring this over, and maybe on every, at the end or at the beginning of every, I don't know, 2 bars, 4 bars, something of that nature, this happens. So let's try it at the end first, the end of 2 bars. Yeah, something like that, just to spice it up. You might bring that over here and try it on the 1. You guys get the effect here. It's to flavor, it's to taste. You're gonna put a filter on this anyways, more than likely, or some kind of EQ help, because that's a pretty hardcore stutter to listen to for 30 seconds. And it's just to help you out as a DJ anyways. It's not meant for the crowd. You could do the same thing on the back end if you like. You might say after this drop, right there. Okay. So once again, click where you want it, Control E to cut, to separate the regions. You'll delete that back end there, and you'll do the same thing that I did on the front end here, but you're going to reverse it as far as the automation goes. So we'll take this, just make sure I got it all, which I did not. Zoom out here, shift click. I still didn't get it all. There's that last little guy hanging over there. Okay, now that we have it all, just shift clicked, so it's all highlighted. Control, click, and drag over. You can copy and paste. I'm just trying to visually show you how I would do it, and so you can really just overstate exactly what I'm doing here. I'm just dragging the intro all the way over. Let it go. Once again, not the most pretty outro, but it gives you something to mix out of. So you're going to be fading and EQing the heck out of this anyways to introduce your new track. You might even begin mixing your new track in over here, so that way by the time you get to over here, you're already well faded down and gone. You might even, if you really wanted to, click on your volume fader here, the blue. You might even make a dot there and begin to do something as extreme as, as this. It's not easy being a lefty on a righty laptop. Fade it down. which that could actually sound like a delayed effect just carried out. So there you go, guys. At the end of the day, mangle it, have fun with it, get crazy with it, do whatever you feel you need to do to make the track better and whatever you feel is right. And join me in the next video where we will take a vocal and try to layer that on top of this to bring it to life even more. I'll see you in the next one.